Hello and welcome back to Phantasy Star Online, or PSO for short. If this is your first time here, first of all, welcome, and secondly, PSO is a 20-year-old dungeon crawler game, where you choose from 12 characters, you traverse through 4 areas, where there are hundreds of collectibles, from weapons to armor to magic, to items to special items, and where you're given a special robot companion that you feed items to, it evolves, and that in turn affects your stats, increasing it tenfold. So for those who are unfamiliar with PSO, you are now caught up to speed. And by welcome back to PSO, I mean that I made a previous video of trying to beat the game with no items, no equipment, no anything. It has now been called the Hugh Cashman run. And by the way, that video is part 1, part 2 is in the works, it's just taking a little time. Sorry about that. And the main reason I bring up the Hugh Cashman run is because the very idea for this video happened while I was streaming the challenge over at Twitch. And here's a clip of the exact moment that this challenge came to be. There's a weird feature that I found out for the online server that I'm on, that technically you can turn off EXP growth. How bananas is that? And thanks to that conversation with Snow and Daily, the challenge was born. Oh, and here's one more clip that definitely didn't age well. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm doing it, I'm just saying we made an idea that now exists, and we can't take it back. And by we, I mean my PSO partner, Lantis. They are the best partner to have with these challenges. All I have to do is call or reach out, and they are on board immediately with any crazy challenge that I come up with. And with that, it started our crazy journey of trying to beat the game without gaining any experience and beating it level 1. So just as the title suggests, yes, this video is about level 1 as a group. And eventually, as our journey continued, 2 more members joined our group, Dee Dee and Goose. Now you see, Goose is a bit of a maverick. And yeah, that was the pun on the movie. And by maverick, I mean he kind of came and went as he pleased, and did his own thing. However, he did follow the rules of the run. And speaking of the rules, rule number 1, we have to stay level 1 using the command in the game. Rule number 2, we can use any items and buy any items. We can even share items because we are playing as a team. And rule number 3, no grinding offline. And beyond that, that was the game. That was the rules. And that was what we set out to do. And when you set out to do these challenges, you first have to think which character you're going to select. Now there is so much more that goes into picking a character for these challenges that it could pretty much take up its own video. There's statistics, there's practicality, there's uniqueness of each of their stats and their abilities, so I won't go over it here. As for this challenge, we decided to pick a variety of characters that will make our team well-rounded, and so I chose my favorite character, Humar. And when you make your character, you get a section ID. The section ID are those glowing symbols you see on your character. Their main purpose is to dictate which items you pick up. And we decided to go with Green Nail and Viridia, for those have the best chance at certain materials and certain items that we believed that we needed to beat this challenge. And you get section IDs by the name you give your character, meaning you have to give it a certain name to get a certain ID. Which is a bummer for me, because I like to really flesh out my characters, really give them a personality. So I had to create a name. What's weak, but beautiful. What's strong, but fragile. And it hit me. Glass. And much to my surprise, when Lantis came in to join me to start our journey, I saw their name. Cannon. And together we became Glass Cannon. And I could have never come up with a better name than that to fit the journey that we were about to embark on. Alright, enough of the preamble. You've heard me explain a lot, now let's see what happened on our journey. Also, you may have noticed that we're dressed the same. And I can tell you that wasn't intentional. Lantis surprised me by dressing the same as me. And since we were both purple, we decided to call ourselves the Purple Gang. Purple Gang for life! And right out the gate, I was lucky enough to get a handgun directly next to the portal. Now, I know what you're saying, you picked the Hunter class, you picked the Swordsman, you picked Humar. That's true. But being level 1 means we're never gaining experience, never gaining health, or anything. Which means one hit could devastate us. And you're about to see how much damage I take when I try to be brave and use my sword a little too early. You're at least braver than I am. You know what? I'll join you in being brave and make a bad choice.
You don't have to be brave.
Oh no, I'm not brave. With each hit we take, we lose a quarter of our HP, which means we rely on items to survive this challenge. And it is one of our main jobs throughout this challenge to collect as many items as we possibly can. With my no item run, I know how impossible this challenge would be without them, and without them we couldn't even make it past the first room. Huh, items are useful. Whoever would have guessed? The more you know. And as you can see, we made our way through every enemy and every room in Forest 1 to make it to Forest 2 rather quickly. And while we didn't use a timer for this challenge run, I will periodically give updates about how long it took us to do certain key events. And as for Forest 1, it took us 23 minutes. Now, our journey through Forest 2 was different than our journey through Forest 1. For you see, each enemy have new variants which have more HP and do more damage. And as we all know, we're level 1 and have not been able to increase much of our abilities except for maybe getting a slightly stronger weapon. And unfortunately, that started to weigh on us. For you see, Forest 2 already pushed us to our absolute limit, and without any better weapons, armor, or units, we were going to be in trouble. And trouble had found us. I had been the first to die. Now, to be honest, we didn't actually keep tabs on how often someone died, but the end sections of Forest 2 is when deaths started to occur during this challenge, and moving forward, they didn't slow down. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but the final variant of the Booma were in fact the ones that took me down, and they would prove to be a huge hurdle during the end of Forest 2, but they weren't the only enemy that we had to worry about. However, before we got to those enemies, something else got in our way. Call it what you will, fate, destiny. The gods were angry at our attempt to beat the game level 1. I lost power, and my game and stream shut down. Luckily enough, with online servers, even if somebody who started the party leaves, someone else takes over. So I was able to come back into our party due to Lantis being there, but tragedy struck again. For you see, to be able to do this challenge, you have to use the command, as you see on the screen right now. It is -exp space -1 every time you enter the game, because if you don't, the game does not remember that command. So, guess what happened when I decided to go back into the game? You guessed it. Man, you're so smart, guys. I forgot to do the command and I gained a level, which goes against everything we're doing. So, what did we have to do? I had to drop every item that I had. Lantis watched over them, and then I had to create another character. The same look, the same everything, the same name to make sure everything matched. And when I did, I put the command in, got my items, and we continued with our journey. But that won't be the last time that someone forgot to do the command. I mean, it might be me. I don't remember as I'm editing, but we'll see. It's probably me. Darn it. And once we got back in the swing of things, just as I said before, the Goombas weren't the only thing that got in our way. And of course, it's the Hilda Bears. They always are trouble in any challenge or any casual playthrough for the forest. But before long, we were already facing the dragon. And I'm gonna tell you something. The dragon never really has been that scary, even with the Hugh Castman run or the no item run. So the dragon's never been a big concern. Until now. The dragon was truly something terrifying. And actually a challenge for the first time probably in my entire life playing this game. And so the fighting commenced. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the dragon hates me and kills me several times throughout this journey. The dragon truly does not like me. And thanks to Lantis for carrying us during this fight, because after I died we had no more moon atomizers, leaving them the ones to battle the dragon by themselves. And Lantis, being the PSO veteran they are, was able to take it down and carry us to victory, meaning the dragon in the forest was officially defeated as level 1. And from there, we continued on our journey to the caves. And in cave fashion, it showed us just what kind of difficulty this challenge would carry, and would show us just how weak we really were. However, there was a unique side effect to our weakness that the game probably didn't expect. And yes, you saw that right. From a single shark attack, we gained 33 photon blast points. It seems that being so low leveled, we were able to gain faster photon points, which means we have the great ability to use photon blasts even faster at this low of level. It seems like it's going to be the thing that gets us through a lot of troubles. Which in turn is another strange advantage that we have at level 1 that they don't have at higher levels. So thanks to the caves, we may have discovered that there are some weird advantages to level 1 that we definitely can exploit and definitely use to our advantage. However, and it's a big however, we are still a glass cannon, and that means we will die from 1 to 2 hits regardless of what advantages we get. Which means we have a huge hurdle to clear in order to have this challenge be a success. Which means eventually we're going to have to tackle the dilemma of enemies that do set damage in which our health is lower, and some of those attacks we cannot avoid. And as we continue through our journey, we learn a lot about the things we need in order to succeed on this quest. And one of them is items are useful. You see guys, that's what we call in the business a callback. But for real, there are some items that are so necessary for this run that it wouldn't be possible without them. And I'm not going to bury the lead. One of them is a frame. And the frame is the armor you wear, and as you get higher level, you can use better armor. We're not going to get higher levels. So our goal is to find a frame with the most slots. And we were lucky to get a frame with 2 slots in the cave. Those slots allow us to attach units, and units give us more stat points. And another thing that we learned pretty early on was we're going to be returning to Pioneer 2 a lot. And the main reason is to buy items for ourselves, but more importantly, our mag. Because you see, our mag is more than half of the reason that we even can make it through this challenge. We have to come back to Pioneer 2 to the shops to feed it, and to replace the items that we used to just barely survive. Which means about 1/5 of our time spent in this challenge is in Pioneer 2 in the shops. And of course, we're looking for the elusive 3 or 4 slot frame, as that is the only armor our characters can ever wear. And by the end of day 1, we beat all of the forest, the dragon, and made it to the halfway point of Cave 1. All in all, not too shabby of a first day of this challenge. But little did we know what crazy adventures we were going to get ourselves into as the days progressed. About a week later, we started up day 2. With, of course, us back in the caves. And this is when we get the 3rd member to our group, Goose. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, Goose is going to do what Goose is going to do. Still follow the rules, mind you, but he's here for the ride. And his choice is Raycast. And as we set out on our adventure through the caves as level 1, Goose forgot the most important thing, and that is to put the command in before we started. So unfortunately he, like myself, gained level 2. So we waited, and when he returned, we truly were the Purple Gang, finally. And with Goose now prepared, we decided to re-tackle the forest for him, so that way they can get some items and some weapons, and prepare themselves just a little bit better, because the caves were demanding, and we were losing money left and right. Another problem that we ran into was Lantis' mag. You see, mags usually need the same items you do. The idea is that you have to use resource management to figure out what to give you, and what to give your mag early on. So most of the time, we just gave Lantis all of our mana fluids. Later on, that's not really an issue, because we get higher level weapons that we can never use, so we sell them. And since we're level 1, we can never buy items stronger than forest level items. Now that might not seem like a problem right now with the forest and the caves. However, later on, it becomes a real problem.
Addicted to you, and it's twisted. You've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head. I like you in my bed.
And as you can see from the montage, we made our way through the forest pretty quickly, and a little bit of fun along the way.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.
Then we got to the dragon, and we were mostly prepared for it. We already had better weapons, our mags were higher leveled, and now with 3 of us, it was going to be way easier. But of course, as I said, when we first fought the dragon, it doesn't like me very much, and, well, I die again. I hate you, dragon. And with the death taken by the dragon again, darn you, dragon, I was feeling pretty down, until Diley himself raided and joined us for a little bit. And, of course, brought 2 very important things in for this adventure. And on a serious note, I want to say thank you, Diley, for always being so kind to me, and for you being a pillar of the PSO community. You're kind and welcoming, no matter how small the streamer. And that says a lot about you. Thank you. And to piggyback off that statement, every video I try to have some kind of nice message. Maybe it's something of hope, maybe it's something of friendship, or maybe it's something you need to hear so you know you're not alone. And I promise you, you're not. So what I want to say is, make sure you tell people that they're important to you while you can. You never know when they may not be there, and you never know when they're not going to be in your life anymore. A lot of times we're afraid to have that hallmark, that cheesy movie moment. But I promise you it's important, and I promise you, you tell those people in your life, they'll never forget it. They may laugh it off or punch you in the arm, but I promise they'll remember what you said, and they'll appreciate it, just as much as you would appreciate it if someone told you that same thing. We all need to know that we're cared for, and that we're loved, and that we're appreciated, and I promise you are too. To somebody, to me, to the world, in some way. Anyways, enough of me being cheesy, back to the show. And like I said, with Diley's raid, he brought in the last 2 parts to our story. The 4th and final member of the Purple Gang, the Purple Knights, dare I say, DD. And of course the second thing, and by far the most important thing, the introduction of a certain Papa Glass. You see, they were a chatter that had joined Diley's raid to come see our level 1 shenanigans. And without his inclusion, this story would not be as fun as it was. And on top of that, a friend of mine, Xanra, even gifted subs. Now, I know I've been spending a lot of time thanking people. It's just hard to not give back the appreciation that I've been given. It's so great and so wonderful, and thank you everybody from the bottom of my heart. And after all those wonderful things and our group finally finished, we made it to Caves 2. 5 hours, 44 minutes, and 59 seconds. And that ended day 2 of this wacky adventure. And after a week later, day 3 of our journey began. And we kicked it off with Goose, myself, and Lantis. We were feeling pretty confident, but was that confidence misplaced? Let's find out. And to start our journey, we had to re-tackle Cave 1. And of course, along the way, we accumulated some deaths. And yes, even Lantis. I know, I was shocked too. But just under an hour and a half, 7 hours and 20 minutes into this journey, we made it back to Caves 2. For those who may not know, I stream all these challenges on Twitch, so we got raided twice, we found stronger items, and overall, had a pretty quick time through Caves 2, only taking about 40 minutes to make it to Caves 3, 8 hours and 1 minute in to our challenge. and even making our way through Caves 3, we did pretty good on time, making it to the boss in only 40 minutes. However, there was this funny moment in one of the rooms where you have to hit the buttons. You see, I'm so used to playing Hugh Castman, and I'm making a part 2 of that video after this one is finished. So I always see the traps. So as the human, I walked into every one of them. Way to go. And during that time, a very vital thing had happened. Something that we would definitely need in order to finish this challenge. We didn't know it at the time, but this piece of equipment is so vital, it's not possible to beat this challenge without it. And that is a frame with 3 slots. And it just so happened that the shop had one available. And we all had our own. And I cannot stress this enough. At the time, we had no idea how important this piece of equipment would be in order for us to have a chance to win this challenge. And one other thing kept happening. Not just this day, but you'll see it a couple more times as the story progresses. In this server, there's a glitch that every so often if you try to deposit an item, it just kicks you from the game. So right when we were ready to go to the final boss and fight Lana Del Rey, and yes, I called Day Relay Lana Del Rey. Always have, always will. My game kicks me right out. So, can we beat Lana Del Rey as we are now? Let's find out. With me and Goose confident, Lantis not so much. We tried our first fight, and moved too fast and the bombs killed me. Boom. First hit. And the purple death beam knocked out the other 2. And the fight was over in under a minute. But did that stop us? No way, Jose. We went in and tried it again. And we did marginally better. And the first trick we use, where you stand in a specific spot and the bombs won't harm you. After they explode, is where it gets a little bit of a challenge. There's a purple death beam that launches, and if you run at a certain time and a certain direction, you're able to dodge it. It now gives you a chance to inflict damage. And in that moment where you're striking the face, Lana Del Rey has one possible attack method, and that is tentacles. They will launch them in a certain timed interval, which I think I forgot because I got hit and I died. And so Lantis revived me, but to no avail. Unfortunately, the purple death beam right after that got me. Got all of us in one KO. And so that spelled the end of the day. We knew we weren't going to get any closer to be able to beat Lana Del Rey, especially in our current situation, where we all had roughly 40 HP, and all the attacks do more than that. And in our current state and mag level, we didn't do enough damage to actually have a chance. And so we signed off for the day, leaving our journey at 8 hours, 43 minutes, and 35 seconds. And so, another week passed, and it was time for the group to get back together again. However, we were not prepared for the day we were going to have on day 4 of our challenge. And to start off the day, it was just Lantis and I, so we decided to tackle the forest. And our goal was to hopefully find some HP material from the blue rappies. And then I made a critical mistake. I gained level 2. Which means I had to repeat the same steps as before and make a new character. So not a great start to our day. And we're not too sure, but that incident may have been the start of what caused a ton of problems later on. And of course, to add insult to injury, the dragon killed me again. This dragon, on this run, absolutely hates me. It's okay. I think I hate him too, but don't tell him, because he'll just kill me again. And then Goose joined us, which then we got the chance to continue through our cave journey once again. However, I told you we were not ready for day 4. And not 20 minutes in, we were halfway through Caves 1 when I found a sword, which I was very excited about. Little did I know that that sword would carry a curse that would slow down the entire rest of the stream and end up breaking everything we touched. It was so destructive that we called it the Cursed Sword of Ultima. Lightning noise, lightning noise, lightning noise. However, we won't go too much further into it on this video. And that reason is because to explain what happened to the Cursed Sword of Ultima is a lot of technical stuff that would make this video even longer than it already is. However, we did decide that it needed to die. So after we fixed the problem, we created a new game, went to the forest, dropped it off. We called a priest, a shaman, a voodoo guy, you name it, whatever we could, and then we deleted the game, hopefully putting an end to the Cursed Sword of Ultima. And we had a good time doing it, to be honest. But unfortunately, that took up all of our time for day 4, and our time was 11 hours, 46 minutes, and 7 seconds. With about 40 minutes dedicated to the Cursed Sword of Ultima. And the Cursed Sword of Ultima is a video on my list, maybe for Halloween. I hope so. I'm really bad with my release dates. Another week passed, and it was time for day 5 of our journey. And of course, Goose being Goose, he decided to show up as Sonic the Hedgehog. Now before I tell you what happened day 5 on our journey, there's one thing I need to explain. As I've mentioned before, we're playing an online server. The specific one we're playing is Ultima, because it has 0 experience built into the server. And if you want to play on any of the servers, they are free, so I'll put them in the description and you can check them out. What's normal for these servers are they actually have events. Ultima actually changes your name from white to green, and what that does is increase experience, which doesn't help us, but it also does increase rare enemy spawns. So, with the green names, we now have an increased chance at red lilies, which drop dragon HP, because we discovered that without dragon HP, we're not going to be able to defeat Lana Del Rey. And in a short time frame, we were able to get enough for everybody, 3 per person. And yes, with that green name, we do have an advantage. But it's not as grand as you might think. All it did was make the hunt for dragon HP quicker. So in my eyes, nothing about this challenge was made easier, just less time spent doing it. Do with that how you wish. But our journey quickly sped up, and we made our way very quickly to Lana Del Rey once again. Oh, a quick side note. There was one thing I wanted to add in the video, but really didn't fit in the story. During our travels, when trying to wrangle Goose, Lantis took to doing what we called the Goose Call, which is this adorable thing where she goes, Goose, 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 Goose. I mean, I'm not adorable when I do it, but they are. And I truly believe that no one's life is complete without it, so you guys get to have it too.
Goose, 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 goose. Goose, goose. Goose, 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 goose.
I think Goose is dead. No one can resist the siren call of Goose, 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 Goose. Now that's true. Does that mean Lantis is a siren? You know what? It's all coming together. However, there's no time to talk about that, because it's now time to face Lana Del Rey once again. And along the way, Dee Dee rejoined us, giving us our full party of 4 people. Dee Dee may have missed the Cursed Sword, but they weren't going to miss the battle with Lana Del Rey. And so the battle began, and it kind of went like a regular playthrough of Lana Del Rey, except we died a lot. And it was twice as long, and it was twice as hard. So I guess it really wasn't like a casual playthrough. Interesting. However, we did use the same strategies, except for trying to dodge the purple death beam in the beginning, which I did miss. But I'll tell you one thing happened. Lana Del Rey loved killing Goose. Goose died more than I can count, and honestly, we kind of were laughing the whole time it happened. Every time someone got hit, it was always Goose. So Goose just kept running around and playing defensive for us as we all attacked Lana Del Rey. And eventually, we won. The fight lasted for 12 minutes, and we wasted most of our items, if not all of them. But we did finally win, and as tradition, we headed to the mines, so we can see what we're getting into next. And while we're there, we hit a few enemies, and we call it a day. 15 hours, 13 minutes, and 54 seconds into our journey. With our heads held high, we were finally able to say goodbye to Lana Del Rey and look forward to the mines when we came back. And so, another week passed, and day 6 of our journey began. and we got into it pretty quickly. We had 3 simple plans for day 6. Well, I guess 4 if you count not causing the cursed sword to happen. Anyway, the 3 main things were: 1, getting the HP materials from the blue Rappy, 2, getting the dragon HP, and 3, finish the mines, if we could. And believe it or not, we accomplished our first task right away. Right when we entered the forest, the very first room, boom, a blue Rappy. And not long after, another blue Rappy. And of course, with the green name means an increased chance for rare enemy spawns. But to get one right when you enter the first room, it's an awful nice way to accomplish your goal. And before long, we made our way into the caves, where again, we achieved our goal, and we even got an extra set of Dragon HP for DD. And like I said in the beginning, Goose is gonna do what Goose is gonna do, and at some point left. And not long after that, DD eventually did join us, which meant it was time for us to head into the mines and begin the long journey to see if we can beat it in one stream. And this might be kind of dumb to say, but turns out the mines were just a little bit harder than the caves. Huh. The next level's a little harder. How profound of me. That being said, we are grateful to have Lantis, thanks to her lightning. A lot of the enemies, due to them being in the mines, had a weakness to it. And, thanks to Zonde, we were able to get through it pretty quickly. And about halfway through Mines 1, Goose decided to join us again. Come on, Goose. Do you know how hard it is to keep track of you during this video? It's not like he's gonna do anything else that's crazy and I have to explain. And with the team all together, it was business time. No, not the Flight of the Conchords. I mean, it was time to get to work. Not men at work, but like, you know what I mean, to get to the game and beat the mines. Also, a side note, my mag evolved again, right after Goose rejoined us, and I got those cool angel wings, whatever they're called. Some PSO fans can be very upset that I don't remember the name. Garudia? Something like that. I'll put up on screen. I was very excited. I love those gold wings. And speaking of those wings, I got them when we entered Mines 2 at 17 hours, 22 minutes, and 28 seconds. And 40 minutes later, we made it to Voltaire. Yes, I also call this boss a different name, and many different enemies in this game. Like the Canadians, they know who they are. You know who they are. Enough of my unhinged rambling. We made it to Volopt in 40 minutes. With only a couple of crashes and lots of photon blasts. We prepared ourselves to fight Voltaire. So Volopt is a very different type of boss. He has 2 phases, and funny enough, his first phase is the most dangerous. I discovered it while doing the Hugh Castman run with no items, that after you beat the first phase, the second phase is pretty easy as long as you're patient, focused, and you keep moving. Phase 2 has one specific thing that could ruin a challenge, which is the rockets. So if you can destroy the rocket launcher and keep moving, you can win. And that was our goal. And if we're able to do that, we're able to beat this boss the first try. And with the team focused and prepared, we made it to round 2 in 6 minutes. The other thing to be mindful of when you fight Voltaire, or Volopt, is that the second round has a ton of HP. And like I said, as long as you're careful and you destroy the rockets, you got this. Now being careful, huh? Is that what a particular avian creature is known for? And with that, we had a little bit of a wild time with the second half. Goose did Goose things. And we tried our best to destroy the rockets and then to move on to the other parts. And sorry if I sound like a broken record, but to remind you, we are level 1. And the reason why I'm making sure that you understand that it was very clear for us to get past phase 1, or for certain enemies to not hit us, is because we will still die one hit. All of our stats are so low that we have to be mindful about the choices we make in our fights. But luck was on our side, and at the end we were able to defeat Volopt. And first try. Nice. That meant day 6 we completed the mines and all of our tasks. And the final time for the day was 18 hours and 21 minutes. And we knew that all that was left was the ruins. We celebrated our victory. In the back of our minds, we didn't know what to expect when it came to the next day. One week later, day 7 of the challenge was upon us. And the real question was this the last day? Could we really make our way through the entire ruins and defeat Dark Falls, all in one stream? Or would we have our bad luck like we did with the forest and the caves? There's only one way to find out. But don't skip to the end, because we're getting there, don't worry. And unlike day 6, day 7's only goal was to get through the ruins and beat Dark Falls. Of course, me and Lantis, or Glass Cannon, were ready to go. And this time, Dee Dee was here first, ready and raring to go, because they believed that today was the day. And I cannot overstate how little damage we did when we first entered the ruins. It was very obvious that all of us had to be on top of our mag and feed it every chance we could get to get any amount of stat increase at all in order to succeed. For example, you guys can see right there, Huggy Wuggy. Yes, I know it's a Belra? It's a Belra. Yes, I know. But they hug you to death out of love. And as you can see, we're doing 2 damage, 5 damage tops. Some of us couldn't even do any amount of damage. Well, that's mostly because Dee Dee wasn't with us all the time. Some days Dee Dee couldn't join us, so Dee Dee had some catching up to do. And about a half hour later, Goose joined us, bringing the whole purple squad back together. However, just a little bit in, Goose made the same mistake I did, which was forgot to put the code in, and we gained level 2. So Goose had to leave, create a new character, so he dropped all of his items and left. But what did we find when Goose returned but a brand new character named Xanon? And no, it wasn't just a different name for his raycast, but an entire different ranger. The reason why that's such a wild card move is because all of his items and his mag that he previously made was built around a raycast. And on top of that, it seemed that somehow his mag got misplaced, which meant we had a whole other wrench thrown into the mix. But Purple Gang is for life. And we stuck together. And an hour and a half after day 7 started, we made it to the ruins too. And of course, I had to take a little break, so these guys decided to entertain the masses, enjoy some styling of Purple Gang. And our time spent in Ruins 2 went rather quickly, and for the most part uneventfully. And we made it through it in 40 minutes. You know, we did make it through most of the second floors of all the areas pretty quickly, and around 40 minutes to boot. I'd love to see the average time spent on floor 2 of all the areas. No time to wonder that though, because soon enough we would be up against the clock. And what I mean by that is, we were streaming it late at night, and one of us had to get up early the next day. So if we were going to finish this challenge, we had to rush and try to push ourselves as fast as we possibly could to get to the end in the amount of time that we had left. And with that goal in mind, we kept fighting and we pushed ourselves as fast as we possibly could to try to make it within that 1 hour time span. And then we saw it. The healing station. 50 minutes in, and we knew that we were right next to the boss's room. And sure enough, there we were. And I'll tell you what, that motivation paid off. Because we made our way from the beginning of Ruins 3 all the way to the boss's door in under an hour. But with our success, they decided to stay up long enough to try the fight one time. And it all came down to this fight right here. Because if we fail this fight, it would mean the end of the stream, and another week would have to pass until we could fight the boss again. And so, we prepared ourselves and stepped forth to face destiny. Now, I wish I could say right now that there were some special techniques, some special skills, some new secret that we discovered that would help us win against Dark Falls. But there wasn't. It didn't mean it wasn't exciting though. It just meant that we had to manage our items, watch our health, and definitely don't get stuck in the butt. It's a bad place to be. Me and Lantis even got stuck there together one time. Wild ride. Another thing that was happening in the midst of all the chaos was Lantis keeping us alive and bringing us back from the dead. They had to be on top of us and know exactly where we were and who died, because they were healing us and keeping us going, while the rest of us were trying to do as much damage as possible. Oh, and I forgot to mention, right before the final fight, someone raided. Now don't get me wrong, I appreciate that. But on top of having only one chance to do this, we had extra audience watching the final fight. However, with all that happening, 13 minutes later and 17 photon blasts later, we made it to round 2 of Dark Falls. And when it came to phase 2 of Dark Falls, it came down to just doing as much damage as possible and launching your photon blast the second you can, the second Dark Falls stood still, and having Lantis heal us along the way. Would dodging help us? Who knows? Probably. But in that moment, we were just so focused on trying our best to do enough damage. But after 10 minutes, and no joke, I counted every last one, 36 photon blasts later, we defeated Dark Falls and became the first people to beat the game level 1. And the time of the challenge ended at 22 hours, 11 minutes, and 38 seconds. So now it is time to answer the question, can you beat Phantasy Star Online level 1 as a group? Yes, you can. And honestly, it was a lot of fun. But you may be asking yourself, you beat it as a group, but can you beat it solo? And I'm currently attempting that exact run over at Twitch. So if you're interested, come by and check it out, and other challenges that I do. Now if you think Purple Gang is done, we're not done yet. We're coming back soon. Again, check out Twitch to see when we go live with Purple Gang level 1 again. Thank you all so much for watching. I know the group enjoyed it, I know I deeply enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I work really hard to make videos that people would enjoy, that I can be proud of, and even if only a few of you really enjoy yourself, that is worth my time. And as always, I hope you're happy, I hope you're doing well, and remember, it's not what's happened, it's not what you've done, it's what you do next that makes all the difference. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Doll, you never show me nothing but kindness. She would say, I know how sad you get. And some days I still get that way, but it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. Sweetie, it gets better, I promise you. And she'd tell me, your heart is a muscle, the size